Last time I explained the history and evolution of the Wii, its many regions and channels. If you recall well, at one point I briefly mentioned that the Wii released in Taiwan, and I never even mentioned China. So what happened here? In this video I will explain all the hassle Nintendo went through to get the Wii out in mainland China and Taiwan. Before starting this video, I want to clear up a couple things. First, I am not Chinese, I've never been to China, and I don't speak much Chinese. Most of the stuff I will talk about in this video are from research. And second, I'm sorry if I forgot to mention anything important, and if you know anything else I have not mentioned, feel free to leave a comment. That's all, hope you enjoy. First, you need to familiarize yourself with the company iQue. It is a company that has official support from Nintendo to translate their games and consoles into Chinese, adapt them for Chinese audiences, and release them to the Chinese market. They released consoles such as the iQue Player, which could play Chinese N64 games you could download, or the iQue DS, which plays iQue DS games. But they just never released one for the Wii. The Wii never released in mainland China. Satoru Iwata did mention the Wii will release for China the 20th of September 2007, but only for Hong Kong, and that was under the Nintendo brand, not iQue. But later Nintendo did something quite strange. Forget China for now. On the 2nd of July 2008, Nintendo released the Wii in Taiwan. But here's the strange bit that I don't understand. The Taiwanese Wii isn't Japanese, has a Japanese Wii menu, and only plays Japanese games. Instead of Japan, set it as the region of the console on the configuration file. Nintendo changed it to Taiwan, but that's mainly the only difference. But here's the thing that's bizarre. Why Japanese? If Chinese is not possible, it would make more sense to make it English, right? Regardless, Nintendo really didn't take much effort with getting the Wii out in Taiwan. I asked some friends from Taiwan who have a Wii on Discord, and they said that they couldn't actually read the games. They just pressed every single button to see what it did and wrote down what each button means. So Nintendo released a bunch of games translated to traditional Chinese for the Taiwanese audience, but it wasn't many, just 8, and it actually makes a bit of sense. These games are very heavily reliant on text. Some games like Mario Kart Wii, you can kinda guess what each button means, but for these games, text was necessary to keep up with what is going on or know how to play. There was never such a thing as a Chinese Mario Kart Wii. You might have seen a Chinese ISO online, but that's just a fan-made translation. But worry not, it only gets exciting from here. On April 30, 2009, South Korea saw the release of Mario Kart Wii, a bit over a year after the rest of the regions. And in the files of the Korean disk, people found this. These are the swap screens of Mario Kart Wii translated to simplify Chinese. Somebody at Nintendo accidentally left them on the Korean disk for some reason. So this suggests that a China version of Mario Kart Wii was actually being developed at some point. We can also find another splash screen, which contains several things. The top is a healthy gaming advice, basically some advice for health and safety while playing video games, which is required to appear by Chinese law. The bottom is information about the publisher, which so happens to be the same one used by iQue in all of the games. And an ISBN, which is all zeros, because it would be replaced by the one given by the government once it had been approved. But that's actually not all. The Korean disk has more. We can find a simplified Chinese home menu, which they also accidentally left there. And there's even more. There's a simplified Chinese logo for the banner, which actually works pretty well. The banner is the animation that shows in the disk channel on the Wii menu. So these things seem awesome. How they accidentally left all of this in the Korean disk, how nobody in Nintendo seemed to notice it, and how it ended up on the disk at all are mysterious answers. But just wait, it gets better. For this part, you need to understand how Mario Kart Wii region IDs work. Mario Kart Wii has a continental or regional button. This button will match you only with people in your region who are also using the button. Though you might not have noticed, when playing Mario Kart Wii online, the colors of the lines of players actually do mean something. It indicates the region they're using. Red means Japan, blue means America, green means Europe, yellow means Oceania, and purple means South Korea. Everything else is white. So if you see a white line, the player is likely using CGB, which makes your line white no matter what. The way the game would know if you're from Europe or Oceania, since they're both a PAL disc, is from the region. If your Wii's region is set to Australia or New Zealand, you will have a yellow line. So that's region lines, simple, cool and a fun fact, right? But apparently it was found out that there's more about what I just told you that meets the eye. Region 3 is Oceania, but Korea is region 5. So what's region 4? Well, apparently 4 was Taiwan, and 6 was China. So let's clear up things here a bit. 6 was completely unused, obviously, the Wii never made it to China, so let alone Mercury. And about Taiwan, if you remember what I said earlier, Taiwanese Wii's are just Japanese Wii's, who are running the Mercury disc. I always thought the Taiwan region was unused too, and they just used the Japanese one. But apparently Nintendo did actually put a check like the Europe Oceania one. If your Wii is Taiwanese, it is just a Japanese one with Taiwan set instead of Japan in the region configuration. So, if the game detects you have a Taiwanese region, it will put you in region 4, and you will actually play with people using Taiwanese Wii's. Now back to China. Thanks to this, yet another awesome thing was found. The Chinese region was just laying unused on Nintendo Wi-Fi connection, right? It can be accessed by modifying the region of your game by hacking, yeah, but there was no normal way of accessing it. And in fact, there is an old YouTube channel called China MKW which showcased time trial ghosts made by people, which were sent to the Chinese region. But remember how I said at the beginning that IQ worked with Nintendo to bring Nintendo stuff to mainland China? And remember the ISBN screen on the Korean disc? Well, here's how we learned a bunch of stuff about the never released Chinese Wii's just from this silly unused region. So apparently IQ developers were likely sent a bunch of Chinese Wii's at some point, and they set some time trial records, which then they uploaded to Nintendo Wi-Fi connection on the new China region using the Chinese Mercury disc. Most of them simply have the name IQ. These ghosts are now long gone because of the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection shutdown in 2014, but they have been bugged up. But here's something interesting. In the China leaderboard for Wii circuit, the 9th time had a Mii name in simplified Chinese. There isn't a Mii channel that can read simplified Chinese, so this means Chinese Wii's would have had their own Mii channel that allowed you to save Mii's with simplified Chinese in their name. And every single ghost had a country code of 160, which currently doesn't exist. So this was probably China, and just like the Japanese menu, it wouldn't let you change it on the Wii settings. In my opinion, it is truly fascinating how fans found out so many awesome things from a Chinese Wii which never saw the light of the day, simply from some developer accidentally leaving some files in the Korean version, and from some leftover time trial data. The years passed, and in 2018 something interesting was announced. Nintendo planned to release several GameCube and Wii games that were not released in China, upscaled to HD and completely translated to simplified Chinese. They actually released plenty of them, such as Donkey Kong Country Returns or Super Mario Galaxy, and they also announced they would be released in Mario Wii, translated to Chinese. And the part that shocked everyone, with working online exclusively for China. But there's a bit of a bummer with this, it still hasn't been released. The reason for it is probably that the government still hasn't approved it, and considering the current situation of China, I doubt they will anytime soon. But I'm sure that whenever it releases, many people like Mr. Bean 35,000BR will try to see what they can get from it.